We were 23 and 24, so that was the same year. The Rays, the Forbes, all that. We jumped into our own storyboard books. And yeah, really, we spent that 23 and 22 year for the both of us really building, experimenting, MVP, getting to market, going to market, strategizing, building, landing, and expanding. And then last year was where we really found our footing and really grew as a team, as individuals, etc.
In this episode, I'm talking to Christian Brown, founder and CMO of Glewee. Glewee is the UPWORK for influencer management with over 10,000 active creators on the platform. We'll talk about their go-to market strategy, how they attracted all these influencers, how they onboarded 800 brands and raised $9 million in capital, and how all this was accomplished before he even turned 24. We'll also try to figure out how much money this influencer platform makes per year. And if you can't answer a question, we both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Wish me luck, Martians. Hope you enjoy this one. Welcome back to another episode, Martians, of Marketing on Mars. Today, we got Christian Brown. He was recently nominated as Forbes 30 Under 30 last year in 2022. And he's one of the co-founders of a company called Glewee, which is essentially like an influencer marketplace. So we're going to dive into it a little bit. He's also super young, so I'm really excited. I love talking to guys that are younger than me that has really good energy. So Christian, welcome to the show.
Hello.
My friend.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So Christian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How old are you? And just a little bit of your background.
Cool. So to preface it, I feel like people are going to think I'm like 19 or something. I'm not.
You're
19,
younger than
19. Yes. No. So I'll preface it with that, and I'll preface it with none of my background has anything to do with hot sauce, spice, or anything of that caliber. And so this is going to be a very, very fun one. So to dive in, Christian Brown. Thank you very much, Simon, for the introduction. So I grew up in Massachusetts on the North Shore near a small town called Salem, which is where the witch trials are from. Not too much happening there in a sense of like digital entrepreneurship or social media, especially not in the earlier days of a lot of that stuff. So it was like a really fun place to grow up. There was a lot of like very traditional household living, I guess you could say. Massachusetts in general is very rooted in that stuff, but this gave me the ability to really you're inside a lot because of the cold weather in the winter and all that. And so this gave me like a really unique perspective on the idea of like upbringing and growing up and having like individuality and perspective outside of like the traditional be good at sports and go off and do this and do that and follow this path and all that stuff. And so, with that in my younger days around 13, 14, 15, 16, I spent a lot of time on my computer, whether it's like in our art program at school, learning Photoshop or After Effects, Premiere Pro, all those fun suites that like really enhanced and opened up my creativity for a lot of like what came to be my passion and a lot of those things. And so with that came the internet and social and like the beginning days, Tumblr, which turned into Instagram, which turned into building websites turned into e-commerce. And that whole world really sprung from that in my high school days. And so with that, I spent a lot of time on social and building brands, building identities, building personas and personalities, and really driving that all to central forces, whether it was on Instagram with specific pages or brands that my friends and I were building, anything like that. And so that was in Massachusetts. That quickly led us to and through New York City, meeting up with a lot of kids that we just met online. And so like a lot of 18, 19, 20, those years of my life were structured around like generate as much money via e-com and via digital as we can and go travel to meet the people that we spent a lot of time online with. And so in New York, I met a lot of friends from LA, spent a lot of time out there, just kind of traveling back and forth, figuring out what we wanted to do and where we wanted to scale, and whether it was building stores or building brands or working on current projects we had or just expanding out with what we were working with. That was like a very global landscape for us compared to that like small town that I had grown up in. So that was cool. I went to school in Chicago at DePaul University for PR and advertising. So that was around 18 to 22 years old. And during that time as well, I spent a lot of my time and my free time, whether it was enhancing what I was doing and learning and getting the best at marketing that I could and branding and all that, or traveling back and forth, Chicago, LA, back to New York, maybe over to London for a lot of the time, and just working with different creators, influencers online and figuring out how to bridge the gap between the brands that were in the ecosystems that we belong to, or the creators that were in our friend group, and kind of playing middleman ground and seeing what holes there were in the industry and where there could be scale. And so that led us into that foundational world of influencer marketing. And basically, like, we feel as if we were like kind of products of social in the earlier days of social, because like, my identity, the identity of like my friend group and a lot of people is really structured and honed in off of what we learned and built upon in that era.
Okay. So, I mean, just to recap, you got a young entrepreneur, Forbes 30 under 30s. Some people are jumping into the chat right now. Mm-hmm. We're going to learn about everything related to his company, Glewee. You guys have raised some money, got some investors. You guys have a platform of a bunch of influencers. So we're going to dive into everything, whatever is shareable. But before we do all that, and people listening, if you have any questions, toss them into the chat. We'll love to push Christian, push me. Let's ask some tough questions, because the theme of the show is, if Christian cannot answer any of the questions, we're both going to be taking a shot of hot sauce. So let's ask some tough questions to this young founder. First of all, before we begin, I've told you that we're going to be starting off the show with a shot of hot sauce. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have a spoon here. What weapon of choice did you bring today on the show?
So I have 3 different weapons of choice. And like I said, I'm not a hot sauce guy by any means. So I went out and I found ones that looked like they were really, really hot. So I'm going to present them to you and you're going to pick. How about that? So we have Nano's Peri Peri hot sauce, just traditional hot. So this is option A. Simon, you're going to be the one, or the crowd can choose on the first one. Next, we have Texas Pete. Anything from Texas, I assume, is going to be hot, whether it's the weather, or this guy has a whip and it says it's hot on my meter over here. I don't know. I don't want to get into a fight with this guy. And I actually don't even want to drink the hot sauce, but of course I'm going to. And then third, we have what I would call as traditional is Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce.
All right.
It says hot on it, man. It says hot 3 times. So you pick.
Let's start with the Peri Peri. Let's represent, because I think that's a Canadian brand. So let's represent the Canadians. Yeah.
Large.
And then we'll move over to the Texas hot sauce, because I'm sure that.
Okay. And I don't have a spoon. I mean, I do have a spoon, but I'm just going just for full transparency. And is that a good amount? I mean, this is disgusting. This is This would fill up
that. It's a light little. It's a light teaser to what's to come.
I hate.
All right. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Yeah, have fun. All right, start talking. Let's go. I hate this. I'm gonna get red.
Oh my god. All right, you better answer all the questions that I have for you. All right. So first, let's start with Glewee, your company. We've talked a little bit about you. I'm sure we'll dive back. Tell us about your company. What exactly does Glewee do, and what problem are you guys solving?
Yeah, great question, Simon. So Glewee is an exclusive creator marketplace. And so what we have is a robust web, iOS, and Android application for both brands and creators. So before we dive into the problems, let's talk about the users. A brand is any individual, whether you're running an e-commerce company or a service-based company, a startup, a Web3-based company, anything under the umbrella that you're offering products and services to consumers, you fall under this brand concept. Creators, on the other hand, are people that have grown a personality and a persona online through social, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snap, etc., and have garnished a following anywhere north of about 15,000 followers or so, all the way up to 15, 20 million. And so
is that the minimum threshold to get on the show, your platform is 15,000 followers?
It's around there. Yeah, there's engagement rate formulas we look at, brand likability, professionalism, etc. So creators download and apply. From there, we have like a team of humans and creator marketing experts around our age that vet through all applications, and everything I just mentioned. We look at, we make sure that each creator meets all of the criteria in order to, thank you, Evelyn, to join our platform.
I think that was regarding your hot sauce shot.
Yeah, I too. Okay, that's what I was thinking. From there, creators on board and they join our platform, and then they authenticate their accounts. So we're API and business partners with all 5 of the big socials, which is fantastic. And then we know the real-time follower count, the audience insights, the demographics, et cetera, of the creators. They come on and they set their rates. So they say, hey, I want this much for an Instagram feed post. I want this much for a 15-second TikTok, 30-second TikTok, link in bio, all the variations, build a portfolio, et cetera. So that's the creator side. On the brand side, brands come in, they create their account, they describe their brand and their identity, what they're looking for. And then brands have the ability to create and launch campaigns to our feed, which is a very, very simple system that in turn, normally to create an influencer brief and to create a pitch deck and to find influencers and to send it out and to get responses, whether you're in Google Docs and Gmail and Sheets and Excel and all these places, that's just a very, very difficult system. And so brands can come on and launch a campaign in minutes on our platform. And then based on whether they set an age, a location, a gender preference, a niche preference, whatever they build the campaign on, only creators that qualify for those campaigns are eligible through our platform to apply. And so it's like a job board. And so brands that are looking to work with creators, whether they want to work with one creator, 5, 15, 25, 100, whatever the number is, they can find those creators that want to work with their brand all in our platform in an end-to-end function. And then from there, everything from chatting, communicating in app, content approval, auto-generating, sending and signing contracts, safe and secure payments, tax IDs, all of those things happen all in one place on Glewee. So that the brand doesn't need to do an influencer marketing exterior in all these different tech stack forms. They can just come to us. We offer the platform. We have a great CSM team and an amazing team around us. So we're constantly building. And from there, we're just constantly evolving and offering our users the best that we can give.
Right. And so that's amazing. So essentially it's like you said, like a job board or like Upwork, but only for influencers. Nothing else, influencers and campaigns. Okay. So that's really cool. And you guys have raised a little bit of money. Is this shareable? Is this?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I did know you were going to give me the heads up. Yes. All public knowledge. Yep.
How much have you guys raised so far?
So we closed our seed round for $9 million, early 2022. Before that, $500,000. So net 9.5 up to this date.
Net 9.5. And how? So, okay, you were born in 1998. 98?
98, yep.
So that makes you 24?
I turned 25 like a couple weeks ago.
Okay. So you raised 9.5 by the age of like 23, essentially.
Yeah, 23, 24. And so Dylan, who's one of my best friends and the founder of Glewee, we're both 98. And funny enough, he's the last month and I'm the first month of 98. And so at the time, we were 23 and 24. So that was the same year, the Raise, the Forbes, all that. So we jumped into whatever we're calling as our own storyboard books. And really, we spent the 23 and 22 year for the both of us really building, experimenting, MVP, getting to market, going to market, strategizing, building, landing, and expanding. And then last year was where we really found our footing and really grew as a team, as individuals, et cetera.
Wow. Think we can find some influencers on your platform for marketing on Mars?
Yeah. I mean, you can find influencers for anything. That's the beauty of it all. There's over 10,000 creators active on our platform, whether you're in the B2B, B2C, D2C, you name the space. There's creators wanting to work with brands of all walks of life.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll definitely check that out. So you guys have raised a little over 9 million, over 10,000 active creators. You mentioned. What about on the company side? Like how many brands are on the platform and actively seeking influencers on the platform?
And so with that, we have over the duration of last year, we were experimenting in a PLG model, which is really fun. And so that brought in well over 650 active recurring users that are coming in, working with creators on at least once a month basis, loading up credit, actually engaging and transacting. And as of recently, we've launched a plethora of brand new amazing features, as well as a subscription service of sorts, which is focusing on us allowing to kind of identify our super users and give them, whether they're enterprise brands, mid-tier brands, et cetera, give them different pieces of platform we want. So of that, we have a total of 850 brands transacting as of right now. And we're looking to scale that up around 2 to 2.5x throughout the duration of this year.
Wow. Okay. So let's dive into it a little bit. So you guys make money through I guess fees. It's kind of like a Upwork kind of model.
Yes, yes, that does happen. But we look at that kind of as to cover the platform essentially. So yeah, the Stripe fees are batched into that, transaction fees, et cetera. Though we try not to hit our users too hard. We really try to minimize that to empower our users to do as many deals as possible. And so we are bringing in revenue from brands on that subscription service. And that's what's fueling the next stage of innovation for us as an organization.
Right. Okay. Okay, cool. And in terms of, you mentioned now 850 brands or so, 10,000 active creators. It's a two-sided marketplace. So the strategy to acquire influencers is a little bit different from acquiring the actual brands. Let's talk about the brand side first, right? Because this is where the money comes from. What channels are you using right now to acquire? What will be your top 3 or 4 or 5 marketing channels?
Well, with a young marketing team, we go to social. But before I dive into that, I kind of want to do a little analogy where like you take a bunch of spaghetti, you throw it at the wall, and you figure out what sticks. We've been in a definite expansion plan that we've looked at and said, like, where are we going to find brands and social media managers in our ICP? And we know that the answer is social, but there's a lot to weed through on social, and there's a lot going on. And so we've seen to rank them 1, 2, 3. We've seen Google and Google search be phenomenal for us just because we know what keywords users and prospective users are looking for. From there, we have great retargeting. A lot of that trickles down into the Meta suite. So Instagram and Facebook, as they pair up against one another. And then, we have seen success on LinkedIn. We're exploring to see what is going to be our number 3, whether it is LinkedIn on the brand side or if it's going to be TikTok. And TikTok is kind of a new play for us. And it's one that we're excited to explore because a lot of information, intelligence, learning, teaching, e-commerce, a lot of the tips and tricks of the industries are happening on TikTok in these like niche little bubbles. And so how are we going to get in there and play in that game and be a voice for that market as well?
Yeah. Okay. So you got social number 1, Google ads number 2, right? And then Instagram and Facebook ads number 3. And now you're just slowly potentially testing out LinkedIn and like a little bit, right? Yeah,
for the most part. Yep. I'd say to give a definitive answer, it goes Google, and then it goes Facebook, Instagram. So social, and then expanding out on social, which would be, playing against LinkedIn versus TikTok and seeing how that works.
I see. And if you were to break down your marketing spend right now, you guys raised a little bit of money. Can you share what you're spending on Google versus Instagram?
This is when I go take the hot shot, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. We got you again.
I'm doing it. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
Yeah. We gotta.
Okay.
We gotta keep it fun. And B, you never know. Listen to the funds. There are a lot of competitors out there.
All right.
Oh, dude, I put a lot in there.
Okay.
Oh man, this is gonna be horrible. Oh, you're flash. Okay, go.
Okay, you can't share the full number of what you're spending on each platform. Understandable. Right. What about in terms of percentages? Right, like what?
Really good question.
Yeah, like So, are you spending mostly on Google or? Yeah.
Yep. 45 Google, 35, 35 Instagram, Facebook, which brings us to 80, and then 20% on the exterior. So those additional avenues. And that's of that triangle. And then kind of break down in the grand scheme of things, there's an additional 10% that goes into new avenues that we come up with and landing and expanding in things like email marketing, nurturements, a lot of things like that.
Okay. What about like, yeah, it's hitting us.
You're good.
What about like events, sponsorships? Are you guys testing any of that stuff or still too early? Because I know you guys started probably just a couple of years ago. You guys have raised like almost $10 million, but you guys started. ago?
Yeah, I mean, the platform went live out of MVP and into the market last year, so early 22. With that, we kind of have like a unique setting on how we've done that. And so it was really hot throughout like my university experience, right? Like learning was so big for myself and so many of us that like I never wanted to stop that. And I think that to learn from such great professors that I had in the ad space and the marketing space, it was like, holy shit, when we left school, that kind of like we missed out on like the newest thing in marketing, you had to teach yourself, and whether that's from learning, listening to podcasts, et cetera. So with that, we kind of took that concept of wanting to learn and wanting to be thought leaders in the space. And we kind of took that all the way back home and said like, okay, what are we going to do to understand everything going on in digital marketing, digital media, advertising on this side, like that B2B side. So we went to a bunch of great conferences this year, some in New York and London run by Ad Week, which were fantastic, Social Media Week, that's what they're called. We were brought to Cannes Lion to be in their startup program out in the south of France over the summer, which is fantastic. And then explored a couple other conferences that are a little more tech-based. And we're looking to go and attend more of the direct-to-consumer conferences, because that's really where the brands that want to utilize us the most are spending their time and are doing those big activations. So getting in front of them where they're actually exerting and and being themselves is like a good, I don't know, just something we see. And then on the creator side, we've done a creator conference this year, which was fantastic. We went out there, set up a booth, ball pit, all the fun stuff like photo backdrops. I mean, this one that we see right here is a part of that activation. And so, yeah, we had a lot of fun just kind of showing that Gen Z side of us and bringing people in. I mean, we had over 1,000 creators download and apply in a single day just at that conference, which was fantastic. And so we're just like experimenting how to run in a digital world and how to play as a startup that's really like figuring things out as we go, but also existing in a true real space, so that association with the brand and the identity and the team and that Gen Z mentality behind how we're solving the pain points of our industry, it's all in one place. And we're trying to bridge the gap. But at the end of the day, like, some of us, we can't even be away from the computer for 2 days, let alone 4 days at a conference. It's like, there's just so much work to be done right now that it's almost like hard to breathe when we're not sitting at the desk and doing this all day, all night.
Yeah. And it must feel weird whenever you have time, right? It's probably,
yeah. Like, I mean, it is pretty strange. Like sometimes if we're kind of, when we're in London for a conference and I'm just like itching. We're like sitting there like, we need to check Slack. We need to be on our email. Like, what if something goes wrong? Because we're just so built and everything needs to happen in 20 minutes in the startup mentality. And if it's not fixed in 30 minutes, like we imagine there's going to be a fire, because that's just kind of how things were from that, like, just forever onward. So, I mean, we're going to level out of that and mature through that and grow as a team and as an org, so that like we are going to be able to delegate individual team members to go to stuff like that and conferences and be present where it matters most.
Okay. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about events in a little bit, but going back to what you said about the main channels, Google Ads, which is about 45% of your spend, social, which is about 35. So 45 and then 35 for social, Instagram and Facebook, all that. Okay, that's great. You got it. So anyone listening, you kind of have a sense of where a big influencer platform is spending their money. Maybe that's kind of like the trend. Google Ads, probably most majority of your spend should probably be on Google, depending on your industry. And then you want to go social after. I want to dive a little bit about social, into social, because that's your expertise. What do you think makes a good social campaign? And I want to leave it very open-ended. You can talk about ads, or you can talk about just like a grassroots campaign where you're engaging with the community. What makes a brand good on social?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And it's a formula that, right, like every brand has to crack on their own, and there's no one set formula. There's bits and pieces of some of the best formulas that people adopt and they pick up and they play with, and they test, right? Like I think A/B testing is the foundation for being good on social, because there's going to be no one answer for this. So if you look at brands like Duolingo, run by a fantastic, also on the Forbes 30 list, run by a girl, Paria, and she is like just so smart, because they said, what are we going to do to exist in a digital landscape? And she was like, well, Duolingo, like we have an owl. That's our whole logo. Let me dress the owl up. Let me wear the owl and let me let me walk into the wall, right? Let me walk into fun stuff. And this green owl has become like the face of TikTok for so long. And it brought in like over 1 billion impressions. And like the concept for social there is like the brand needs to have the identity that it's for everyone and it's run by a young crew, right? The social side, at least. And it's for a younger, more like free flowing, energetic learner compared to like a hard deep cut coder or something like that. And so like, I don't know, that was really cool for them. And I think that like at its core, it's understanding your audience and your consumer, and then like putting yourself in their shoes and saying, what do they want to see? Right. If you're marketing to marketers and like really, really experienced marketers, maybe you're going to want to create like content that's focused on teaching and evaluating how people can look at real KPIs and OKRs, right? Like real hard stat stuff. If you're talking to Gen Z and you're talking to like a group of 17, 18, 19-year-old consumers about a new beauty product, chances are it's not going to be someone sitting in front of like a DSLR camera with like depth of field with them, right? Chances are what's going to do good is like a creator or a young individual that is kind of reflective of that ICP, them in the content, them showing off the product and them saying, hey, here are the benefits for me. Because then at the end of the day, the end user, that young 17 to 19-year-old consumer, they get to look at that video and be like, wait a second. Yeah, like I relate to this, right? It's not an ad, really. It might be an ad. There might be pay behind it, but it's not this like studio production thing that everyone's going to scroll by. It's more like relatable. And that's where we've seen, brands come into our platform and say like, hey, we just want to work with creators because we want to get our product into the hand and we want the content to be made by real consumers and real people that actually want to use this, compared to like going to an ad agency and paying $30,000-$40,000 for the best studio shoot and video production of all time. Right. So to answer your question, right, what makes a good campaign good? It's understanding the ICP and the persona of who you're selling to, and then understanding what they want to watch and how they want to engage with it, and then creating content that's based on that and is tailored for that.
And then that last piece, which you mentioned, which is so key, is just authenticity, right?
Yeah.
When things are authentic, I mean, look, like you said, social is just everywhere in our lives. Mm-hmm. Whether you're working or you're just or you could be a student, you could be first year in your job, second year in your job, whichever stage you are at in your life, digital, social is everywhere. So. Mm-hmm. We understand when things are not authentic, when things are not real on social media. We just have this sense, I feel. And so there's just like a huge push for, things like you said, that are not always the highest quality. When things don't look super high quality, it automatically feels a little more real, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it feels like, yeah, I mean, it feels understandable. It feels like, yeah, okay, yeah, I could have made that. Oh, cool. Okay. This is fun. Yeah. When you watch a Super Bowl ad and, you've got people riding on horses and golden retrievers and all this fun stuff, or like someone dancing for TurboTax, and you're like, I don't do that. I don't rollerblade and stop and then do my taxes. But you watch like the second ad in the Super Bowl this year was Prime, and Prime ran it in the first quarter, and it was all UGC. It was just like user generated content showing off Prime. And it was like filmed on an iPhone, like all different ways. And I'm like, that was cool. Cause like, I understand that. Like, I feel like I was in the video. I like, you walk out of a gym or you walk out of a place where like they're drinking Prime Energy and all that. And you're like, yeah, dude, if Logan Paul or KSI like ran by me and like was filming me, I'd be like, that's cool. That was fun. But like, am I going to strap on the rollerblades and TurboTax my way down to the roller alley or whatever? No, I'm not. And so it's like, I can like that from an artistic perspective. And because I've studied advertising, that's, my hobby. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, to really sell to a Gen Z audience or even an audience that doesn't want to be sold to, you need to create content that doesn't feel like an ad. Because the second you hit the ad bullshit meter, right, it takes like a millisecond to scroll, especially in the TikTok endless feed. Oh, yeah. TikTok, Instagram, oh my God, they're forever, right? You can get sucked into that for hours. If you can't stop the thumb, right, if you can't stop the scroll or however someone's scrolling and actually get them to engage with your content, then you're spending money into the abyss. And I think that that's really like the bottom line, is create content that is going to stop the scroll. And if you're going to do that in an organic way, or you're going to work with creators, or you're going to build an influencer campaign, republish that content across your socials, that's what's going to get there, compared to some of these crazy high cost production shoots that we've seen historically.
What has been one of the best ROI campaigns that you worked on, where price was relatively low and just got like the best impression and the most return on investment?
Yeah, for an example, for us, we worked with a creator named John Carish, John Racer 3, and he's on TikTok, and he just goes and he builds Hot Wheel tracks and has like a bunch of really cool Hot Wheel cars. And he talks and he does voiceovers, and the car will go down the track and do all these things. And so he has a very generic audience of consumers from like a Gen Z perspective. A lot of creators follow him and comment on his stuff. And we worked with him through Glewee for $400, and he brought in way north of 1 million impressions on a single video. And the video was it was a brand awareness video. It was meant to drive awareness to our page as well as to have creators download. He had his own referral link that he used. And so we saw hundreds and hundreds of people download, because I mean, it exists in TikTok forever, right? If the creator doesn't delete it, it stays up. And so like creators, a bunch of the UGC we got from Glewee creators talking about Glewee for brands and other users. I mean, those have residual impact every single day because those videos live on forever, and they keep getting more views and more views and more views. The algorithms will kick videos back into the algorithm and pump them for whatever reason it may be. And so, yeah, we've seen videos go from 200K to 1 million overnight. And then you just start to see like creator downloads and acquisitions with those referral codes. And we can just say like, oh, TikTok pumped the video again. It's just like, so if we plant enough of those seeds on the creator front, it's things like that got us. I mean, we surpassed 35,000 downloads at this point.
That was for a TikTok creator, right? That campaign was for a creator.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So TikTok creator made
any examples of campaigns that you did for like a brand, like a D2C brand or? Yeah. So like, since Glewee is a SaaS platform, we personally don't do them, right? So it's we facilitate the platform itself, and then the brand and the social media manager, whoever is using the platform, they're executing on those tasks. But Evian Water utilized us for a Soho House launch of their Evian and Balmain collab that did well over 1 million impressions, and that was very low cost in the grand scheme of things. And so just allowing for social media to be the vehicle of that brand awareness funnel, and using creators. If you use 10 creators, right, and they're all, micro to mid-sized creators, and all of them are bringing in 100,000, 200, 300, 400, 500,000 impressions, you're going to bring millions and millions of eyeballs to a new release of a new product. In this case was the Evian. I'll show you here. Evian Balmain water bottle that was released in Miami over Art Basel. Oh, wow. And so, I mean, just to drive 5 million or so eyeballs over the course of a couple of days, just through a few TikTok videos, that social media influencer marketing versus traditional channels of putting, you'd have to spend tens and tens of thousands on Instagram to get those numbers in just paid promotion through the Meta Suite. Or you can work with influencers and you can drive that home for a fraction of the cost. Wow, that's incredible. And do you have any, being a kind of like an influencer specialist, you mentioned, D2C companies generally are your best ICPs, because D2C companies they work with influencers a lot. What are your thoughts on B2B and using influencers?
I feel like this is such a tough space that I'm going to do the hot sauce, and I'll try it out, because I'm not going to have a good answer. So I might as well, I'm going to have to cave to. It's not a fun answer.
Oh my God. You're throwing yourself into the fire. And
I'm subjecting to it because I don't want to give a half-assed response, because it's not going to be a fun response.
Okay.
Ready? Here, I don't know. You got lights and all this fun stuff. Oh, God. I should have just bullshitted you. Oh my God.
I wouldn't have even known. I would have been like, yo, this guy Christian is really an expert in this space.
No. And I only took it because it's just not a fun answer, right? B2B is tough. It's so hard to crack the code, because B2B is like, think about you and I working in the marketing and software space, right? Like, in order to buy a platform or to buy a service, typically a B2B space is a lot higher ticket volume or ticket value than selling a makeup brush or than selling that water bottle that I just showed you. And so to actually get under the skin and use influencer marketing, you have to use a highly intelligent, highly qualified, highly in the space creator in general, right? And there's a huge barrier to entry on a knowledge and expertise and experience level there. But furthermore, to get them to work with your brand, there's so much more to it. You have to onboard them into your own platform, your own service, right? You have to figure out what payment structure is going to come in. You have to say, hey, if one person teeters on an annual subscription or signs up for our B2B thing, then that's worth it for you, right? So like you're going to be paying thousands of dollars just to work with like true, correct B2B influencers. And traditionally for us, their deal flow comes in a lot more structured format. So, I mean, we've explored the avenue of having like a true B2B sector for like different B2B SaaS on our platform, but it just becomes a referral basis from there. And there's a lot of, different communities that do that already. And so it's tough. It's like one of the hardest codes to crack is B2B as well as Web3. And so those are two areas that everyone's trying to understand, ourselves included, and maximizing that understanding in like an automated way, like through our platform it's just a new horizon to things because it's a lot more complex, right? Than engaging with the creator, sending them a bunch of your hot sauce and then them posting it on TikTok. You own that content, you repost it. There's like just so many bells and whistles and levers involved.
100% agree. I'll add one additional point. B2B versus D2C. D2C is very kind of, you kind of do it on your own. You can fill out the whole add to cart thing and you can pay. The whole process is pretty simple. You click on something, you buy it. That's very easy. Even if it's a service, it's very easy. But B2B sales cycles usually it requires a sales team, it requires a nurturing program and an email funnel, and then it requires booking a demo and then going through there's just so much more to the B2B process. And I've run into this personally with clients in the past. I worked in an agency where they just feel like, and this is nothing against I'm not saying all B2B companies, but so some B2B companies, they will be like, you know what, I'm going to try influencer, and this influencer program is just going to generate millions of dollars for me or hundreds of thousands of dollars for me, not knowing that you still got to invest in other things like your email funnel. Oh yeah. Like so many other things that you got to invest in. This is not like a blue pill where you just, I pay $400 for this influencer program and I'm just suddenly going to see millions of dollars running just pouring into my bank account, right? That's not how it works. So I think that's another, little tiny difference between B2B. Yeah.
And I think that what you just said there is really important for people to think with too, is that like working with, running an influencer campaign with, like I said, 1, 5, 25, 100 creators, working with platforms like Glewee, what you're getting is you're getting the opportunity to excel and you're getting the connections that you can utilize to excel. But it's not a single pill. You don't just say, hey, look, here it is. I turned it on and now everyone's going to buy my stuff, right? Everyone's going to transact tomorrow. There's a lot that goes into it. And like for us, right, we educate our users on it. We can only bring a consumer so far, right? Like let's say that a creator or 15 creators post TikTok videos with specific UTM links, link in bio. Everyone goes to the site and a bunch of people are wanting to buy. Let's say that your webpage isn't maximized or it's not optimized for what, like a high sale volume or even for like traditional, like web to iPhone reactivity for how your website's built. If everything's not in line, right? And like people aren't able to transact or like you're not shipping the product, whatever it may be, that is not on the creator. That's not on the brief. That's not on the platform. That's on the brand marketing team and brand owner and whoever is responsible for that. Because it's like, this is not one pill, and all forms of marketing are not one pill and your game is on or your light bulb's lit up forever, right? There's actually a shit ton that goes into it.
I would say if anyone comes up to you, not even just an influencer, or if an ad specialist came up to you or an SEO specialist came up to you, if anyone comes up to you and said, I can guarantee you $10,000 in sales, you should probably run away from that. There is no, like you said, there is no guarantee. There's so much involved, especially if you're in B2B. There's like, your brand matters. Like,
oh my God, there's
the reviews on your site matters. Like, So many things.
It's like you got to go back to like Maslow, like the hierarchy of needs, right? Like it's a full triangle. No matter how you flip it, everything matters. And we always joke, right? So we're working alongside Shopify as we're building an integration and an application within the Shopify store, so that Shopify brands can come in and actually use our platform. And there's a whole system that we're building out. And so we're joking with saying, okay, well, what do we want to offer? Right. And obviously we want to offer ROI. We want to offer ROI tracking. And we're excited to bring those capabilities to the space because there's so many stores that are going to be able to utilize what we're building. And, from our surveying are excited about it. And so with ROI, people are like, okay, so I'm going to hook up my Shopify store and I'm going to invest money into creators and they're just going to sell the stuff. And I'm like, yes, if all goes well, yes, that is a part of it, but it's not. And you're not going to pay $100 to a creator every time and they're going to return 10x of that. Because if that was the case, then we'd be building the 10x dollar machine. And if we were building the 10x dollar machine, this would be a lot larger than an influencer marketing platform because this would be economics flipped on its head. Right. And so it's like, a lot of marketers and people that go out there, some of it's optics and smoke and mirrors, right? I see it all the time on LinkedIn where it's like, I got this CPC, cost per engagement and click campaign that generated $1 bajillion and my client only paid me $200 for it. And I'm like, no, it's a unicorn and it's an outlier and an anomaly in the data set, but it's like to give that idea to consumers and the everyday people and like potential clients, and to not live up to that 100% of the time and to lack that consistency, I'm like, that's bad marketing and that's bad advertising and that's bad customer success.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's just so cool. I can't even remember where what we talked about last before we started diving into this area because this is so important. I think we were talking about marketing channels for acquiring brands. And we didn't get to the influencer side yet. So you guys have about 10,000 influencers on your platform right now. You talked a little bit about this creator conference that we went to, and that signed up like thousands of creators. Mm-hmm. What other channels are you using to acquire?
That was just, so that, I don't want to use that example as like the pie in the sky. That was the one, right? It was a conference that we knew a lot of creators that we were friends with were going to be at. And so we said, we're just going to go. And it was cool for us, but we were already well on our way, probably into like surpassed the 20,000 mark, of downloads and applications last year when we did that. But, we grew this right from zero, and myself and the marketing team, which at one point was me and then another one of our best friends. And now the team's obviously grown exponentially from there. But we looked at the market and social in general. And we said, okay, what's it going to take? What do people want, right, in a platform? And then we built it. How do people want to hear about it? And so every type of different channel, whether it was directly, right? Like we came out the gate with a lot of people in our network that were creators of all sizes. So that filled up like layer one of the platform itself and got a decent user base. From there was word of mouth. From there, we went out, we did a lot of understanding of how we can get different pieces of contact from different creators across different channels. We built a robust email marketing funnel and system that is in place, automated at all times, working on creator acquisition for a very specific targeted group of creators in the US. And that has returned greatly for us. And so we do a lot of reaching out to creators, and it isn't an organic method, but we got 30,000 creators to download and apply for the app. I keep saying that number, and it's because, I'm so proud of it from our side because we did no paid digital spend to get there. We didn't pay $1 to Facebook, $1 to Google, $1 to anyone. We did this all from the ground up until we hit like an adoption point that we saw, or like mass adoption, but like an inflection point where we know we could like kind of let up on the gas for the outbound because creators were downloading on an inbound way. And so just organically, we got ranked in the App Store for keywords like influencer, creator monetization, stuff like that. And so every single week, our app is scrolled by over like 10,000 times just from organic growth and existing online and the SEO we run and word of mouth, social, obviously. Like We use our Instagram page to chat with and communicate alongside the thousands of our users, right? So community building and digital, and existing where creators exist, right? Like it's the language we speak and it's what we grew up on. So that was not a hurdle for us by any means. That was more of the given and why we're here, because we spoke that language. And then what we needed to learn from there as a team, a very young team, was how to actually like kind of shift those gears and talk in a more formal tone, for the managers, the agencies that want to work with us, as well as brands on the other side. So it was a pretty evergreen answer to the question of creator acquisition. And there's so many levers we can pull to turn on a paid spend, but we didn't want to do it because we wanted to focus our team and our efforts on bringing in brands, because the more brands that are posting jobs for our creators, the more creators are engaging and transacting and monetizing their following. And then that is what is fueling the creator economy from us. And that's how we're playing our part in the creator economy's growth and expansion.
So cool. Yeah, that's how you know you found product market fit, at least on the creator side. You guys spent $0 in advertisement, sent out messages and got thousands of downloads. That's product market fit. And
well, I think one of the most fun parts of it was over the summer, we're like, all right, let's take a little bit of some spend that we wanted to put under the brand side. We took just like $1,000 or so, and we took about $3,000. And we worked with around 30 different creators, micro creators on our platform. And we just did a test. We said, hey, like everyone just post about Glewee, tell your friends that this is an app that creators with like 15K plus followers can get brand deals on. And they posted across like a whole week. And then we just saw numbers go. And we're like, okay, Glewee works, right? Like we built a platform from scratch. We used it for our own marketing for the creator side of our platform. And it's so full circle, brought it all back together. And like, what better way to prove proof of concept than to use it on our own stuff, right? So that we're not giving money to Meta and all these guys that, it seems like it's the abyss. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things we've done on the creator side that are evergreen, that have not needed to be a money pit into the big general digital ad spend world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's incredible what you've done already. You've raised a bunch of money at such a young age, and it's must be quite humbling. At being cool. At your young age. Has life changed a lot since you've raised money?
No.
Or like, is it any different? Like more stress? Like how's life for you?
No, I mean it's cool. It's really fun, right? Like we as a team, Dylan and myself. We had like a tiny little office, right? Like we sat back to back for like 8 months in like this tiny little room. And it was like in a hallway. And then I'm sitting in a ginormous, I have a cool glass table. There's like a whole office, nice glass wall. We have basketball court back there. We have a lot of fun. We were able to hire a lot of friends of ours that excelled academically and were very into influencer marketing. And we were able to give a lot of first jobs, as well as on the team, there's people from 3 different countries working for Glewee and giving it their all. And so us being able to allow them to just bring in money for themselves and their family and support themselves and grow as a team, right? We've seen our team is like, that's like our closest friend group that we have. And just to grow that has been the most fun part of it all. For me, nothing's changed, right? I actually cooled down a lot. Like, I spent a lot more, like I've kind of just reinvented my life to be like solely focused on work, a little bit of fun, obviously, and a little bit of travel here and there. But yeah, I mean, we've really just put our head down because the pressure comes in from every angle. And like, we need to have clear head, clear mind, be on our A game 100% of the time. Like there's no time to screw up. There's no time to mess around. There's no time to be those kids that we once were and, live a free, happy life like you do at university and college and all that. And so, yeah, like, I don't know, there's a lot that we've done to kind of like tighten the bolts of our life and ensure that everything we're doing has a purpose, and the purpose is our mission. And, we have our own goals daily, like personally and org wise, but no, I haven't changed a whole lot in any way besides grown up a little bit. So yeah. Juan said, did you have a mentor that guided you in your endeavor? No, it's a really good question, Juan. No, not like everyone, the world. So no one mentor or a single person to go to. Rather, we had our phones and we have the internet. And that's like something that's so deep rooted in like the Gen Z mentality is that like every answer is at your fingertips. There's nothing we can't find out. And I have two screens in front of me. I could have 7 windows open. Everything I need to know is on the internet. You just have to take the time to invest the time and to learn and to look at leaders, right? Like one of my greatest inspiration, Virgil Abloh, the late head of LV and creator of Off-White, right? Like he didn't build technology. He didn't work in that space. He built brands and fashion and all that. But like what he did for the internet and for all that was so inspirational. And so like I can look at different pieces of like the history book that I liked and read from them and kind of learn. But there's no one person along the way that's like, you have to do this and you have to do this. And I think you should do this. It was kind of everyone being like, whoa, this would be cool. And this would be cool. And how about this? And how about that? And then we kind of wrote that line for ourselves and just crossed our own.
Were your parents entrepreneurial? Did you pick up anything from your parents or like family members that did really well in business that were able to support you, make some introductions?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I mean, like, so my whole family likes business, and my mom shares a lot of stories from her early working days at like Keurig is a company that spent a lot of time in Massachusetts, the coffee company. And so my mom worked there for a while, and she saw that grow quite a lot. And so I grew up just her and I, and it was, a lot of her working a shit ton and me just being like, where cool, more free time for me to be on my computer. And so, yeah, I mean, I was definitely entrepreneurial from the get-go. And so my family was super pushed me down, like, hey, all this stuff, like go make stuff, go try this, go try that. And so it was that. And then my friends too, like my friends were always like, yeah, let's build stuff. Let's do stuff. Like, let's not get that job at the grocery store, what people do. We were always like, why would we do that when like we could build what we want to, we could like make a life out of our own thoughts and our own ideas and stuff. So we did a lot of that, and it worked out well. And it'll always continue to be that way too. Like there's never going to be that one point that's like, boom, now go do this or go do that. It's always going to be like test and figure out and A/B test your life, and A/B test what works and what doesn't, what makes you happy, what doesn't, how to find love and how not to. I don't know. There's all those things that you just got to figure out along the way.
That's incredible. So for people joining, there's still people joining. I think there's like 18 people now watching. Christian started his business when he was like 20 or 21 years old, right? In his dorm.
Yeah, I was 22. Dylan was 21 at the time.
Yeah. And
so we were really young.
Yeah. By age 23, he raised almost $10 million for his first startup. So we're trying to, we're at minute 54.
Yeah, there's no me in this. It's the whole team play, right? Like there's every component that goes into it. There's no single pivotal moment in time or lever we pulled that just like opens the door to all this stuff. Like there are so many key components that put the puzzle together, from like the 360 gyro of the team and of, just story and everything else that like brought this to life. And so like, that's the mentality that we had back then. And that's the mentality that we're going to have continuing the platform and the growth and the scaling.
Yeah. Like all the questions I have, we're trying to get answers, but really, like you said, there is no one answer. There's no one mentor that helped you. Nope. There's not one secret. There's no one blue pill. No, it's all these things mixed together. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And that's like the idea of marketing, right? Like there's so much to it, and it's an ever growing game that there's just so much to learn and do compared to it being black and white, binary, 0, 1, A to B. Jacqueline said, hey, Christian, what's your goal for this year? Do you have a growth target for the next few years? Like how much? How did you decide on this goal? Okay. Couple questions there. So thank you for the question. What's your goal for this year? I don't know if that's like a personal or a business goal. Personal goal, always be happy, strive for success, be the best, enjoy everything I do, and have a great, happy time with friends and family. Business goal is scaling up our subscription service and B2B offering, and really solidifying ourselves as like a leading SaaS platform in the influencer marketing space. And obviously that breaks down into like crazy OKRs. A growth target for the next few years, that can come in the sense of what we're doing with our platform. So our introduction of immense audience demographics, our launch of our Shopify tool, our AI recommendation engine, and a few more amazing tricks we have up our sleeve as we move into Q2, 3, 4 of this year, landing, expanding to and through next year, expanding our creator offerings on a community basis, as well as globalization. That's going to be a huge one. Everything from SOC 2 Type 2 compliance on like the tech side and going to Europe, GDPR, all that fun stuff is going to be like a really fun game to play that we're going to learn a lot on. And how do we decide on these goals? We do, like, our leadership team is fantastic. Like, some people that I look up to every day of my life, and I'm so cherished to work with. And so we meet twice a year. We do like a big multi-day workshop, and we just say, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What are we going to do? What do we need to do? What are the goals? What does everyone want to see? What do the stakeholders want? And how are we going to get there? And we build it out over 48 hours nonstop together. And we have a lot of fun. And then we go back, we disseminate that through the teams, we delegate some work, and then we build. So communication is how we did it.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have time for one last question. And then unfortunately, we're going to have to end. But this has been such a wonderful live with you, Christian. It's been super fun. But last question from Gail.
Yeah. Okay. So Gail says, hey, Christian, any advice for young people who are still starting their careers? Advice. I see that you're coming in from LinkedIn. I see the LinkedIn bubble. I love LinkedIn, right? So my answer is going to come in after this little tidbit, but utilizing LinkedIn and the networking abilities there. It's how everyone meets each other nowadays in a digital world, right? COVID put a lot of people inside, and the idea of networking, going to an event and like, oh, being all scared and wearing a suit and all that, like, that's kind of removed from like my world, because people are just, oh yeah, let me just like meet you on LinkedIn, and then you send a calendar, then you hang out for a little bit, and then you like feel like you know each other. So being able to utilize social media and the networking side of platforms like LinkedIn, for example, is great to like get in and network and learn from people, find mentors, find people that you want to learn from. And then like my real tidbit of answer is that like everything you want to learn is on the internet already. Like, there's nothing you're going to come up with out like fundamentally or educationally that doesn't exist already. So you need to put in the time to figure out where you want to be, what seat you want at the table, right? If you want to be the head of marketing or the head of finance or the chief sales operator, whatever seat you want, you need to study everything that you need to follow those people at the companies that you love. And then you need to study what they like and what they're into. And you need to study what makes them the best that they are. And then you need to learn all that stuff. And then you need to be ambitious enough to like want that next job and that work at the next company, and keep leveling up and being the smartest and best you can. If you have to be competitive, right? But like, use everything around you to be the best you can, so that you can see that North Star of what your career wants to be, and then trickle it all the way down to where you're at. And then it's up to you to fill in the ladders in between.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like when I first started, one person I really looked up to was Richard Branson from Virgin Group. And I actually spent like months studying his life. I listened to every single podcast, read every single book to learn about how he started.
Yeah. I have so many books around me from like all my favorite people, like just on my desk right now that I'm looking at. It's an amazing thing to do.
And just follow that. Follow, if you want to be that person and that person really resonates with you for some reason. The reason why I really love Richard Branson is not because he's a billionaire. It's nice that he's a billionaire and he has a lot of money.
That's cool.
But his philosophy in life of just having fun and doing things that are edgy, like this hot sauce podcast. Like a lot of this is because I really look up to people that are not afraid to speak the truth. And there you go, just downing shots of hot sauce.
Did I do it?
We'll do one last one. Don't do it yet. We'll do one last one before we.
I'm being edgy. I would never buy this. I would never purchase hot sauce.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
as a North Star, right? And maybe we'll end up by saying who your like person that you followed, like your North Star that you followed.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew you were going to ask that, so I might have to go the thing of hot sauce. I'm still finding my North Star. I think that like as I grow and as I develop, that one person, it just depends. You know, it's like I'm still looking for it, and I don't think that I'm going to find that person in literature. I don't think it's going to be a David Ogilvy in the advertising world. I don't think it's going to be an Alex Ohanian from Reddit and that crew. I don't know. Like, I think that it's going to be like someone I meet along the road and along the path that I'm going to resonate with on like a personal level. And then from there, maybe that could turn into the mentor or something like that, but I'll find the North Star eventually. But for now, it's just like me and my friends and our team and everyone else. And we're just so heads down that's life. Just build.
Okay, there you go. The final bell is upon us. We'll do one last drink of hot sauce.
I'll open the Nashville hot.
And we'll level up. Wow, this is our fourth. Is our fourth or third?
Oh my God, I don't know. Yeah, maybe third or so. Right, and I owe you one because I don't have a North Star, so kind of feel like a wimp for that one.
All right.
It's like, oh, the kid has no idols. All right, oh, dude, look at this. It's like shaky.
All right, man. Well, I'm so happy for you.
Thanks so much, Simon.
So happy for your 2022 and 2023. Sounds like it's off to a great start as well.
Yep.
Thanks for spending time on this live. We've answered a lot of questions. Looking forward to catching up. Looking forward,
for sure, man.
Forward to catching up and talking to you maybe later on this year or next year and hearing all the updates. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, for anyone listening, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Reach out whenever. I'm always here. I got 24 hours in the day, and I try to be on my computer working as much of that as I can. So always open to answering more questions and helping anyone that wants career advice or anything like that. I only got a couple years in my belt, but anything I can help, I'm always open for.
Yeah. Is LinkedIn the best? Evelyn came back and joined us, says congrats as well. Is LinkedIn the best spot to connect with you, or are you active on any other channels?
Yeah, that's the most, I got to drink my own sauce here, right? I got to say, I said LinkedIn was the best for networking. And so absolutely, yeah, that's my answer for that. I love LinkedIn, and, I think their platform is the best for networking in a digital sense. And I'm very active on there.
Okay, awesome. Well, Christian, thank you so much. Much love, and appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah, Simon, thank you so much for having me. Any listeners want to join Glewee, just go on, press request a demo, join as a creator or a brand, and you'll speak with an amazing member of our team.
Cheers. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you want to learn more about marketing, just hit that subscribe button and check out all the other videos we have with CEOs, CMOs, and founders. We post weekly here, so this way you won't miss any future episodes. Also, you can leave me a comment down below on what you think about this episode, and also what else I can do or ask to make the show more fun for you. See you later.